Yeah, I've got a few other people joining through. All righty, Max, you're good.
That's fine. Okay, so welcome to everybody. So my name, okay, Max for all friends. It's perfect. So what is my okay? It's not probably my primary job. For gaining my salary, I'm a professional in information in IT security. But the big passion, one of the biggest passion of my life is wine. And so I'm now a teacher in the two association of sommelier in Italy, with the Italian Sommelier Association and with the Roman Sommelier Association, are two different countries. And I'm a selector consultant for a couple of company of wine distribution. I'm a consultant for 5 restaurants, all of them Michelin starred here in Italy. So it's okay. It's a big passion. My hope that is my future will become a professional too. But other than this, what is the objective, the target we shared with Dylan, and we are going to propose to our. There's a small trouble in the Italian wine. So speaking also with my US friends or some other person that I know outside Italy, Italian wine has the, how to say, a lot of false friends about it. Okay, so there are some common views, common way to say about Italian wine. So it's not properly well related with the reality. Has the US tasting is changing definitively since 10 years ago, maybe. What is my experience, obviously. But also the wine in Italy is growing and is changing. And so probably I will try to use this hour for have a sort of pairing this mismatch in any way, and also for explaining you some some details, also some jokes, some short history about Italian wine. So, okay, one of the most important thing is the how to understand in real for how to say for the, our US friends, what is the original Italian products. Okay, the pyramid you are seeing now is the traditional term we use in Italy for is the quality pyramid of Italian wine. Okay, in the gray, this one. Okay, are you looking at my mouse? That's okay for you. This is the quality pyramid of Italian wine, starting from the less quality with the least restrictions in the label. Okay, and after that we are going up until the most restricted label we have is the most qualitative relevant kind of wines. In yellow, at the dark side, we have also different is the European framework, okay, but there's no particular indication, but growing that we find so the protected geographical indication or the protected designation of the origin. Okay, you can see which kind of designation have depending on the indication you have, depending on these symbols. The blue one is for EGP or PGI, if you prefer, or the red one is for PDO or DOP in Italian. Okay, this is not only for the wine. This is, or better, this is especially for food. If you see a Parmigiano or Parmesan or anything else written in the label without one of these symbols on the package, okay, is not a real Parmigiano. It's something different. It's something similar, but it's not a real Parmigiano. It's okay. Let me say in a strong word, it's a fake. Okay, it's not a real Italian product. Probably it's cheaper, probably it's good at the same way, okay, but it's not a real Italian product. So this is the way we are using inside the European framework. But in Italy, Italy is driving a little bit. Italy and France are driving this movement, and they promote this new European framework because we are probably the most important countries, or better, we are the countries that we have the most product, the most number of products, okay, that are PDO or PGI protected, okay, and so it's our interest to move this kind of protection and indications. So, for example, we have great how to say obstacles coming from UK since they were in the EU, or from Netherlands, or for no, German are okay, but Scandinavian countries that they would like to in any case, I don't know, mystify is a bad word, but is in any case is they would like to consume some other products that was not original, that it's cheaper, but it sounds Italy, and so everything is good. No, it's not so. Okay, so please, wine is one of the two great family of products in which we are working about this. We are speaking about not only for this, but only how to read. Okay, this is the another slide that specify a little bit better which are the differences, okay? But how to read an Italian wine label. So how can we understood if there's a mystified label or not, okay? So here is a typical Brunello label, where the estate name, Brunello, okay? Brunello is a particular wine. It's make some red white clone of Sangiovese, okay? And so we just, all this written here, denominazione di origine controllata in garantita, it means the OCG, so it's a DPO, okay? Vintage, count of origin, alcohol content, with the bottler, okay? That is can be different from the producer, because I can produce wine, but I can need to a bottler because I don't have the full license or have the economical capability to bottle. We need machines and some other stuffs and different licenses, okay? And the contents in milliliters, okay? So this is an old label from 2004. In the part in the retro label, okay, you find one of these two. Oh, sorry. One of these two different signs. Probably for a Brunello, you can find the red one. Okay. So this is Brunello di Montalcino. Otherwise, it's let me say, a fake, something similar, but it's not Brunello. Okay. This is very, very important for the consumer. You are spending money, sometimes not very cheap products, hoping in their great quality, but sometimes it's okay. Probably also good product, I don't know, depending on your taste, but are not really Italian products. I don't know if there's in the US something similar for the production of some brands or some specific products, okay? Maybe yes, but unfortunately I don't know which ones, but it's okay. So please don't hesitate to make any questions. I would like to make an explanation also in more details from your side. Okay, so it becomes a little bit better how to say uh, an exchange of information, an exchange of experience among us. Also, okay, instead to have a frontal lesson that is could be sometimes very boring for you. And and hoping that my English is good enough for you, for all of you. Sorry for this, but regardless, I'm a little bit used, but some technical terms will be explained to you in French, or in Italian, just because there's no translation. I will try, however, to explain. Okay. So please intervene in any moment. That is, I will be happy to do that. I will be happy to answer to you, because it's very, very useful having an exchange of information or sharing of experiences between us, among us. Okay. So everything is clear about this, and so I don't know all of you, but Dylan, please help me to check the room. Okay. Other than this, we can Italian wines is a very long history. Italian wine starts in the probably 7th century before Christ, when Greeks start to colonize the south region of Italy, here Calabria, Puglia in particular, and the this part of coast of Sicily. Okay, they definitely calls this part of Italy, okay, the south of Italy, Enotria, that in ancient Greek it means land of wine. The big producer of wine was the big colony, probably the biggest colony of Greek. All the zone was called Magna Graecia. That was the big Greece. Okay, the big Greece, because it was the most important colony until Rome, when you find this red line. Okay, sorry. About this red line, all this zone was an ancient Greek colony. Okay, before the Rome foundation. Okay, when the Greek colony starts to disaggregate, they start some specific small kingdoms inside in the south, and Rome is born. So Rome, after then, Rome's conqueror was the conqueror of all the small kingdoms here, and so taking place of the Greek colonies. Okay, but they continue to live. Roman Empire was always enough smart, so they doesn't cancel, they doesn't clean everything. They left what they found always, but they imposed not only taxes but also procedures, and make systematic, and make some how to say organized production of food, everything, ships, poultry, anything else. Okay, all the stuff that was produced was made in a systematic way, following the empire the empire procedures. So this creates that people was not really very hungry, or was really upset against the empire, but they continue to work in the same lifestyle they always had. So it grants to the Roman Empire longevity that no other empires in the ancient ages will add grant. Okay. The same stuff, it happens for the wine culture. Roman was very, was the bigger consumer of the wines inside the Roman Empire, in particular in Italy. So they have in everywhere you can cultivate vines. Okay, all the light purple areas are the excellence area of producing wines in Italy. Okay, they're starting from the very south of the Sicily here and up to the most northern part in Valle d'Aosta, Valle d'Aosta. Okay, and every single part is a specific. Every single part has its own characteristic. It's not for uh, except from the related massive productions. Okay, there are very few in Italy, to be honest. Okay, but we every every single place of Italy has a small, well-determined characteristic, really related to their territory. And when I use the word territory, is in real, I have in mind the French word terroir, that it's not only the soil or the vines or the kind grape of the producer, but also the history, the topsoils, subsoils, and what is the tradition to cultivate a single kind grape inside a specific country in a specific region. Okay, we can cross in this hour. Sorry, we can cross some specific zone with the high level quality, with the highest level, the highest level quality zones here in Italy. Okay, with some focus, fast focus on each of them. Okay, so let's start, more cheap. The first thing that I would like to explain, using our wine folly, this is wine folly is also free to share. You can find on winefolly.com. Every single region in Italy has some specific, okay, some specific kind grapes. And if you find a kind grape outside the zone, okay, first thing that you can change, okay, why this is not, for example, Nebbiolo outside Piedmont, Val d'Aosta, and Lombardy? Why? Okay, it's okay, Nebbiolo coming from the south of Italy. Let me say why. What's happening? It's a fake, probably. Okay, same for Sangiovese. Okay, Sangiovese is a little bit easier, but it's produced in Liguria, Toscana, Emilia Romagna, okay, Marche, Lazio. Stop it. If you can find a Sangiovese coming from Puglia, from Campania, okay, or from the south of Italy, okay, that's right. What's that? It's a massive production. It's a wine produced in Tuscany and bottled in Puglia, blended with some other kind grapes and so on. Okay, take care of this. If you would like to get a related, related Italian wine, please check this map. Okay, some Nebbiolo grape is probably the best example that I can do to you. Okay, Nebbiolo grows only in Piedmont and only in north of Lombardy. Okay, close to Switzerland. Outside of these two zones, Nebbiolo can grow, but is give no any kind of fruit. And if you give them some fruits, some grapes, the wine is very absolutely awful. Okay, please forget it. This is very, very important. Okay, in Langhe, in Piedmont, Langhe is a specific UNESCO human treasure zone in Piedmont. That is the land of Nebbiolo. Probably they create probably the best wine we can have in Italy, which Tuscany guys can pardon me about this. Also, them are used to understanding the greatness of the Barolo wines. Okay, so this is most important. So this is very this is free, so you can check it. And so please remember it when you find a bottle on the shelves on wine shops or anything or anywhere else. And okay, let me say, okay, Aglianico made in Veneto. Okay, so probably it's not probably correct. It could be a fake or it could be a not quality product. Okay. Any question? That's perfect. Okay, starting with some, okay, a small trip. Now we will start our trip, starting exactly for Piedmont, okay? This is the Barolo, the Barolo zone, the Barolo production zone. Barolo is a small village inside that gives the names of all the wines coming from this area. Probably is the most recognizable wine and the most territorial wines. When you speak, when there's a sort of, let me say, there's a sort of dichotomy between it's Italian guys and France guys speaking about wines. Okay, both of us, we are convinced that our wines are better than the other, but with some 2-3 exceptions. Okay, we in Italy say that Burgundy wines and champagnes. Okay, that's right. French wines. And when you speak the Barolo zone, Barolo Barbaresco zone, French says, okay, Italian wins. Every single zone, you can see in this map, each light purple area is a single vineyard or sort of set of single vineyards, and every single vineyard is different from the other. If you can find a good producer that have different vineyards and make the wine in the same way with the same kind grape, so it's just Nebbiolo, Barolo is possible to produce only with Nebbiolo, okay? And you make a comparison in a central way without any other variables, just the vineyard, okay? Same producer, same vintage, same production protocol. Okay, it's perfect. You find a lot of difference. You can see, oh, totally different wines, but it's the same vineyard that is divided. It's the same vineyards, but there are 2 different portions of soil divided by a stone wall. Okay, that's fine. Or a small path between the 2 vineyards, that separated vineyards. Okay, but there's that 2 meters left. Okay, that's perfect. There's a sort of cut, how to say, a discontinuity between the land. In the ancient ages, or probably several million of years ago, this was an ocean. Okay, so the soil is typical big chalky, sorry, it's limestone pressed, so pressed that's like a rock. When you have to plant, probably you need to use the automatic drill for make the holes in the soil for putting inside the young vines. Okay, because it's so rocky, the limestone, and sometimes it's blue because there are concentration of different minerals. Okay, some is white, some is blue, some is a little bit red because there are some insertion of iron oxide. Okay, and so it's very, very difficult. The other very important stuff is the exposure to the sun. We are in the north of Italy, so having, vines works for the photosynthesis. Okay, they need lights more than only warm. We are not very warm countries, but Okay, it's not very warm villages, but it's very sunny. If you can see it a little bit carefully with this map, you can see again when they are the purples, probably you can find that the best vineyards are the most high, are the higher, are the highest. For example, Le Serra in Brunate, okay, is probably one of the best vineyards all around the Barolo area. And they are placed on 400, 425, 375, 100 meters. Are the highest because it's a bricco. We are called to say bricco here, bricco delle viole. You can find several times this word. Bricco is the top of the hill when the hill is circular, okay? And so the vineyard is, okay. What I mean for bricco, okay? This one is a bricco, okay? This vineyard hangs upon a bricco, okay? What is the vineyard runs all around the top of the hill, and he's able to catch the sun since from the morning until to the sunset. Okay, it gives to the vines a lot of light all around the day, and it works properly at the best. So the grapes grow better with a great potential of acidity, mineral, and calcium, and the other components, potassium, okay, all the other components that are inside in a grape, but also the terpenic perfume, the terpenic components that is responsible for perfumes in the wine, and some other components always related to the terpenes that are the, for example, all the parts that create tannins and some other stuff. So the anthocyaninic components that gives color and aggregates their aggregation molecular, they give them tannins. Okay. So Barolo enriches the probably, okay. What a wonderful picture. And this is the Castello di Serralunga, the Serralunga Castle. It's one of the most beautiful villages. Okay, you can see how the hill is totally covered by vineyards. Okay, and that's fantastic places. Okay, and it's perfect because it's the perfect exposure. So noble kind grape. It creates the perfect condition for this wine that we are used to say we call Barolo king of wines, wines of the kings, because that's an ancient joke about this. Vittorio Emanuele II, king of Savoy and Sardinia and Savoy, that was his son, Vittorio Emanuele III, becomes the first king of Italy. Gives all this land to one of these marquis, Marchese Falletti. The Marquise got married to a noble French noble girl, Julia. Julia Odette Colbert. Sorry, so I remember her name when he was married. Pardon, Julia Faletti Colbert, Julia Colbert. That was they was producer for the kingdom for the King of France. Okay, therefore there was a wine provider for the King of France. Wine comes in Piedmont. She understood the capability of this area. So he called one of the best great winemaker of the ages. We are speaking about the half of the 19th century. Odart, Jean-Pierre Odart, was one of the best winemakers in Bordeaux. That was probably the best wines all over the world, the best red wines all over the world. Odart and Julia Faletti Colbert arrives here and starts to make systematic production of Nebulo Grape and start to give a good, they establish in any way the production of the Barolo area and the production of Barolo wines in their very potential, how they know now. So it's a work that started a couple of centuries ago. When, in order to convince the kingdom of Vittorio Emanuele to introduce or in all the European courts in all other kingdoms Barolo, they sent to Turin, that was the how to say, the place when the kingdom stays, and at the court of the kingdom they sent one big barrel of Barolo, one for each week. So 356, okay, 356 barrels of wine, one for day, pardon, on one for week, one for day, except the 14 days of for the 40 days before Easter, and the other days before Christmas. That is, how to say, is not possible for the person who are very religious to eat meat or drink wine except except on Sunday. Okay, except for the days that she sent 1 barrel of wine per day to the king, and so this permits to Barolo to go outside the Italian country and was exported all over the world, all over the Europe at the moment, at the stages, and now all over the world. Okay, this magnificent, I believe that is scenic of these hills, are now, as I told you, UNESCO human treasury at the moment. Okay, it's probably one of the best places you can visit in Italy if you are passionate of wine related place all over the world. Close to the Barolo zone, there is the other big Nebbiolo wine that is called Barbaresco. It's probably a sort of continuous from Barolo area, just divided from this river, the Tanaro River. We have just one difference. The difference from two wines are that the limestone here is a little bit soft, a little bit more soft than the Barolo area. So the limestone is a rock, but is a little bit softer, and it creates a different. As also the wine is a little bit softer, and Barbaresco ages 1 year less than Barolo. If you buy a Barolo bottle, you have to remember that you pick the grapes, make the wine, and you have to wait 4 years before bottling and selling. So from the economical point of view, you have a good capital stopped in the cellar for 4 years. But however, at the same time, you have to continue to pay invoices, salary of the persons, and so on. Barbaresco, thanks to the different kind of soil, is a little bit ready a little bit earlier, and so they can stay just 3 years or 4 for the Reserva instead of 4 years and 5 of the Reserva for Barolo. That's not a great difference. Okay, from quality levels is probably the best of the best we have in Italy, and please remember that it's not very cheap wines, as you can easily imagine, just for having them 4 or 5 years in the cellar. Okay, but probably are the most recognizable wines all over the world, like the Great Burgundy, like the Great Bordeaux. Yes, probably we are the Gotha of the wine all over the world. That's my personal opinion, but it's a common opinion in a lot of people that speak and works with wine. Okay. Any question? Dylan, please help me if I don't see any questions. So interrupt me because probably I'm not able to see everything.
Yes, not a problem.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Dylan is okay, or
Yeah.
I can explain something else? So
Yeah, we still got time.
Yeah, okay, it's perfect. I can continue. Okay, you can see here the limestone. What is this? This is Barbaresco. This is Barbaresco Tower. Each village has a tower because as a marquise was in the beginning was a country of the border. Okay, and from this point of view, you can see that these castles was needs for defense. Okay, this is Monte Stefano. This was Monte Stefano vineyard, and this Rabaya vineyard. Okay, that's one of the two best quality vineyards from Barbaresco. Okay, this is Monte Stefano. And coming to north, we are in the southeast, in the southwest from Turin. Coming in the zone, we are other Nebbiolo regions we are used to call the Alto Nebbiolo, Alto Piemonte. So is this region of Boca, Bramaterra, Carema, Gemme, Gattinara. Okay, everything of else are up to the best, probably zone outside Langhe for producing Nebbiolo. Because these are very particular because it is a volcanic zone. Boca, it means Bocca, this is the mouth of the Balkan. Okay, it's the big, yes, it's the mouth of the Balkan was just in Bocca. It was a super volcan. That is when the first eruption, they place all the region outside the ocean, down to the ocean, okay? This big volcan was the start to process when the ocean invades all this area and an ocean place over on top. But the same volcan, the eruption of the same volcan, that brings up again all these lands up to the ocean, and they in any way starts to create all the separation from the European part of separation of the European continent from the US, from the American one, was one of the big Pangean eruption, one of the big eruption that favored the Pangea separation. Okay. The other country that was the Nebbiolo grapes growth in Valtellina, that is just at foot of the Alps. Okay. And so there are some, pardon, how to say, it's not enough clear if the Nebbiolo kind grapes moves from Langhe to Valtellina or moves from Valtellina to Langhe. There's a debate on it, but is like people, exactly like people, kind grapes migrated from one place to another in order to find their election zone, the best place in which can grow at their best. Okay, so it's easy to understand. They have to survive. Okay, it's plant, and they are conducting the best that she can do for surviving and for transmitting to their child. Okay, all the essence of the genetic treasury. Okay. Moves from the Piedmont, we move in Tuscany, that is, we have already spoken about in the beginning. This is the biggest village, the big village of Montalcino, probably 2,000 people. village. This is probably the most famous wine known outside Italy. Okay. As you can see, Montalcino is a very small village. This is the wall that surrounds the whole village. Okay, it was built in the 16th century, 17th century for protect the village against the continuous war, because I don't know if you have studied the wars between Guelfi and Ghibellini. So Florence and Siena after the Middle Ages and the 15th, 16th century. Okay, and was a continuous, okay, invasions or troops, soldiers that cross across these small villages, destroying everything. Okay, so in order to protect the houses, so they built these walls. In the 17th century, starts to make this particular kind grape named Sangiovese, and specific in the early 20s, okay, early 20th century, starts to understand the potential of Sangiovese. Okay, so each of these, okay, small written in uppercase letter is one producer. Okay, and the producer has probably one single vineyard. It's very difficult to understand if one vineyard is owned by more than one producer. More or less, is just the same. Okay, the biggest production area is this from the just downset. Okay, the Sant'Angelo Scalo. Okay, the great difference starts here from Argiano. Until Argiano, the soil is limestone and clay in a different percentage, more limestone and less clay. Okay, clay is not a very useful for make a good wines. Clay gives also gives very powerful potential in tannic and in alcohol, but not very elegant. Okay, limestone gives them acidity, verticality, elegance, and so very, very, very intense perfumes. Okay, clay a little bit less. Okay, or better, the spectrum of of smells of in a limestone terroir is a little bit wider than in a clay terroir. Okay, we have several kind of wines we can produce here, not only Brunello, but also Rosso di Montalcino, or Chianti Colli Senesi, that is a particular kind of Chianti that is related to the hills that surrounding Siena. We are few kilometers from Siena, okay, probably 20 kilometers, no more. Okay. This is one of the wonderful views of the Tuscany hills in spring, okay, or better in June. That is the vineyards are restarted and are okay. Okay, that's perfect. It's probably one of the most wonderful countrysides I ever seen. Even if I lived in the UK for a long time, and some countryside in Yorkshire or in the Dorset are very fantastic. Nothing is comparable with the vineyards here in Tuscany or in Piedmont. It's totally different styles, but it's wonderful. Sorry. Okay, I will send you later the. I will send you later, Pat. I will send you my email later. Okay, that's perfect.
Max, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Susan. How are you? I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
You might have covered it. The Biondi Santi, what region does that come from? Does that come from this region, Biondi Santi?
Yeah, Biondi Santi is probably the most famous producer of Brunello di Montalcino. Is the father of the Brunello di Montalcino as it now is known. Franco Biondi Santi, I was very lucky to meet him in person when I was a very young sommelier. He was okay, the grandson of the founder of Biondi Santi, the company, and they was the first to produce and bottle for the first wine at Brunello di Montalcino. They was the founders of the whole movement of Brunello di Montalcino. Okay, so take care, because that's probably the most faked bottles that we can find in Tuscany, because the number of bottles is very, very, very limited. Oh, for example, in my cellar, I have probably 3 bottles of Brunello Montalcino from Biondi Santi, 1 Reserva and 2 vintage. Okay, because you find 2 different bottles, and they have to take care. Biondi Santi is vintage. Okay, you don't find any other, just the label and any other specific indication on the label. And you can find Biondi Santi Riserva, that probably you can understand with this Riserva, because its cost is probably double than the vintage.
I was going to ask you, how much do you think a bottle runs, the price?
Oh, okay. Biondi Santi vintage is about is in euros. Pardon, it's probably a little bit 1.2 for dollars at the moment. In Italy, we can pay it about 130, 140 euros per bottle. The Riserva probably about 220, 240 euros per bottle when it's released. Okay. Wine is an investment. You can consider it on this small production and very historical production. Wine is investment. So you can buy now, and so you can sell it after 5 years, 4 years, 3 times what you paid.
It's delicious wine. I've had it. I've been very fortunate. I have a friend who has a number of bottles, and they're delicious.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably the best expression. The only probably is I'm used to say that the only Brunello that can compete against Barolo. Okay. Also in the long ages, when you taste Barolo or Brunello after 15, 20 years, okay, it's very difficult to understand which is Barolo and which is Brunello. You have to be a very expert taster. Otherwise, you can miss them. Because
and what about Amarone?
We will arrive. We will arrive to Amarone. Okay, it's not my favorite wine. Okay, because Amarone is made from. Okay, I will explain a little bit later. If you give me 10 minutes, I will explain something about Amarone, because it's probably one of the best wines we have in Italy, but it's very, very difficult wine to understand, because it's made by partially dried grapes, and so when you press it, you lose acidity, because it's very hot in Italy. Okay, that's right. You lose acidity and gain in body and the alcohol. Okay, but without the acidity, without the freshness. So it's very difficult to taste an Amarone with 16 degrees of alcohol volume. It's quite complicated. You have to, okay, 1 glass of Barolo, 1 glass of Barbaresco, you can drink by yourself just for, okay, or for aperitif, but 16 degrees of Amarone, okay, if you don't eat anything, okay, my friend, is very, very hard. Okay, but we will speak a little bit better later.
What about I'm sorry, I have a couple of questions. I don't know if you covered years. What special years would you recommend?
Depending on which wine,
Oh, okay.
because it's very jeopardized. We are in this moment that is with the global warming. It's creating very difficult, a lot of problems in the different growing area, because each growing area they have a special microclimate, and so hills, Apennines, or Alps, they protected them in a different ways, and so you have to take care. For example, 2014 was an 04 vintage all over the Italy, exception in Sicily. On extra-Vulcan growing area was one of the best vintages they ever seen. So depending of the zone,
Right.
if you in the latest, you can see 2018 when you have tasted from barrel, still the aging, during the aging, Barolo 2018 or the Barbaresco 2018 that was now released was magnificent wines. If you taste the 17, was very heavy wines. Okay, so it depends. 2016 is one of the vintages that create a sort of communion all over the Italy. Okay, because we're very elegant, not very powerful, not too alcohol, more or less everywhere. For example, big vintage for Barolo, for Barbaresco, for Brunello, little bit less for Sicily and white wines in the north of Italy. Okay, but however, great wines.
Yes,
it's very difficult. So when you have definitely, if you have to have old bottles, okay, please send me an email. I will explain a little bit better on that label how was the vintage. Okay.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Also, I have another question. You said Barolo. I've heard that wine. I've heard it's named as the king of wines, and Gattinara is the prince. Is this what they say in the business?
Yeah. Okay. Good definition. Good definition. Yeah. Okay. In my humble opinion, it's not only prince, because you have the king of wines. Barbaresco may be the queen, because it's the most of us say that Barbaresco is the female part of Nebbiolo, but Gattinara is one of the prince. Like Boca, all the Alto Piemonte region give very, very great wines, and surely not probably cheaper than the big Barolo and Barbaresco, but if you taste some Valtellina wines, you can find the Stays Noble imprinting too. If you find them, let me permit to suggest them, because sometimes when also in vintages like 2015, that was or 17, it was very, very heavy vintages. So with a lot of alcohol, etc. But Valtellina wines remain vertical, very elegant, with these smells of roses and violets. So this was absolutely amazing.
We're fortunate to have our professor of Italian studies, Annalisa Sacca. Hello, Annalisa. She says she owns a 1966 Barolo. Come on, I'm coming over to your house, Annalisa.
1996 was an amazing vintage, one of the best.
You're on mute, Annalisa. You're on mute.
It was especially here because even the bottle has this beautiful metal label with a little almost candle. It was
yeah. Starting from the 96, the best vintage was 96, 99, 2001, 2004, 2006, 8.
Oh, 10. By the way, I want to tell you that I'm sorry that class ended in 10:30, but all my students were listening to you.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Thank you.
All of them, and I said that everything you said is going to be in their final exam.
Oh, wow.
Hey, keep planning. We help you here.
Thank you.
Okay.
By the way, is it worth it? How much is worth it, the bottle I have? Is there a value? Or?
Sorry, Annalisa, I didn't hear. Pardon.
The value of the bottle I have, the Barolo. I have also some Amarone, Barbaresco, very old, because my husband, he died now, but we used to collect wines. That's why.
That's fine. Send me the labels. I will make an evaluation.
Okay.
Okay. Because I need always the picture of the cork or the capsule, sorry, the label and the level.
Thank you.
Okay. Because it's for me. So you're lucky because I did a specific training course in London just for make a estimate cellar estimation.
Oh, very good. Thank you so much, Mr.
That's fine. So it's
at the end of the year, there's a party at Annalisa's house, and she's gonna open up all her favorite wines. So Annalisa, I'm waiting for the party. Come on, we're going.
Yeah. Well, today we had the wine tasting in class. That's why it was so perfect. Because
nice.
First, we did a history of wine, going back to the beginning, the historical part. Today was about, the way you tasted, the kind of glasses you have to use and everything. So I brought 4 wines in class, a Barolo, a Chianti, and then 2. One was the Marsala. I wanted to have the taste of the South, and also a Santo, because I wanted them to taste, something more licorice, to see the difference. And then I was talking exactly what you said about the lands. I try to tell my students, don't get drunk on wine. You have to sip it. You cannot just swallow it. It's not fair.
Annalisa, I have to send you, or if the first time I came in the US, you can take advantage of my presence.
Absolutely. If you come to New York, it'll be my pleasure. You come with then maybe.
We have another question from Gianna Di Percia. She said, what information is on the cork?
There's no specific rules for placing information on the cork. In theory, you cannot put any information on the cork, but all producers, they put their whole name on the cork, and sometimes also the label, and sometimes and more often the vintage. Okay, just for understanding at what was related the cork. Take care, because the cork is always one of the probably most important factor on the life of the wine outside living when they leaves the cellar. Okay, it's probably the only protection the wine has. Okay.
Max, what about producers? I don't know if you could share with us who your favorite producers are, who are the most popular in Italy.
Depending on also there are some depending on the zone, to be honest. Okay, for example, we have spoken about Barolo and Amarone. For example, in Piemonte region, probably the best producer for relatively quality was Ettore Germano, Giuseppe Rinaldi, Giovanni Rosso, Maria Cristina Oddero, Conterno, Aldo Conterno e Giacomo Conterno.
Do you like Banfi?
Sorry?
Banfi?
Banfi is a producer from Montalcino, okay?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, the estate was sold, pardon, sorry, my English is horrible. The estate was sold several years ago, probably more than 10 years ago, to an American multinational of food. And so let me say, regardless the prices and so on, is not probably the best quality levels of Brunello that I mean for Brunello. So they used to make big concentration, very bodied wines, full-bodied wines that is not probably in the nature of Sangiovese. Okay, so I found always the Banfi wines very let me say international style wines, not probably reflecting at best the Montalcino characteristics. Okay, and it's what I told you before. Okay, there's some part of the U.S. people that it's changing the taste, coming closer to the European taste, okay, and in particular in the East Coast. But if you would like to make to keep wider as possible the customer portfolio in the U.S., you, however, continue to need to full-bodied wines, and Banfi is doing exactly this. There was a scandal several years ago. I would like to hide anything to you. It was a scandal several years ago when some estates, for example, like Banfi, and also very famous and very expensive, like Casanova di Neri, was condemned from a judge because they inserted into the Brunello di Montalcino some other wines coming from Cabernet and Syrah in particular. Okay, that is not permitted by the law. If you put on the bottle Brunello di Montalcino, it's permitted only Sangiovese Grosso. It's not a Sangiovese, not the kind of grape, the specific biotype of Sangiovese Grosso. Okay, the judge told to the consortium of Brunello di Montalcino, that you have several estates that have to be condemned for this. Would you like to change the law? Because you can, it's expiring. They have to renew this. Would you like to insert and continue to produce Brunello, inserting Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, what you need for make full-bodied wines that could be sold also to outside Italy, and it should be the big defeating of the Brunello di Montalcino history. And so the president of the consortium say, no, we would like to continue to produce only with Sangiovese. Law was renewed. The years after, the judge condemned again a lot of estates for the same crime to insert different kind grapes other than Sangiovese growth. So, including the estate of the president of the consortium of Brunello di Montalcino. Welcome to Italy.
That's very interesting. Thank you.
It's not very. I'm not very proud of this. Okay, but I was waiting because just for in a convention of this, we told about this. Okay, but the law permits you use the law.
Right.
You are into the law, okay? But we lose our territoriality, our characteristics. But you lost in the same way because you're selling rubbish outside.
Right.
Okay, it's not Brunello. It's something similar Brunello. You put inside Brunello because made in Italy, made in Tuscany. Brunello Montalcino, you sell every bottle of this because there's the Montalcino name outside on the label, but you are selling rubbish.
Right.
It's not. Or better,
you're
rubbish.
Right. No.
It's a very strong word, but good wines, but not typical.
Right.
Mostly, what you have to defend.
Do you think the average consumer can pick up if this is not the authentic Brunello? You think they could taste the difference?
Yes, me too. For example,
really?
It's really easier. Okay. We are like sommelier, and we will start to teach in particular. We have very, very hard training on this. For example, in Barolo, you have to be able to understand the macro area or the single vineyard coming from a specific Barolo. Right. Because as I told you, same producer, same way to produce the wine, different vineyards, you have to understand the differences. Okay. Probably you cannot remember the specific vineyard, but you have to understand the differences and place this difference in a macro area.
Right.
You have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you. You helped me with my class. I'm taking business ethics. I can use this as an example very clearly. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Un'altra
I
domanda
think we
per te,
have one
Max.
more question. Unfortunately, we went a little over time, but we want to make sure we get to everyone's questions. So we can stay on for a little bit and ask and answer two more questions. Dylan, do you want to toss those out for us?
So Gianna again asking, what is the ratio of red wine versus white wines produced in Italy?
Probably 65% red, 35-40 white. Okay, we are with this kind of the our climate, it's easier to produce red wines. I come back here for a while. Okay, if you can consider that all these area from the south, okay, there are some so specific zone from white wines, for example, here, okay, in Campania, or in Sicily here and part on the Etna Balkan. Just now, I'm here on holiday here in this kind of zone. There are very good white wines, and all in the northern of Italy, from Alto Adige, following the Südtirolen Weinstraße, okay, that is was, and the other was the part of Friuli, etc. I'm always speaking about quality producing, okay, because in Veneto and all this part of Italy, in the northeast of Italy, we have the production of Prosecco. They produce thousands of millions of bottles in a very narrow area for this kind of production, and you can find for cheap price everywhere. Okay, but it's probably the quality production of Prosecco are, you can count about 1,000 bottles against 1,000 million of bottles. Okay, is a phenomenal. Obviously, it's a business phenomenon, but the quality is very, very, very low. Cheap price, low quality. That's fine. Okay.
And then a question from Dottoressa Sacca. Does the wine change when it is shipped into other countries?
Absolutely, yes. Wine is alive. Okay. So what is the best way to store the wine? Okay. Dark, no lights, or less light as possible. Constant humidity, constant temperature. Okay. Every variation of these three factors have to happen as lower as possible. Very, very slow. For example, just for I can share with you my humble experience. My cellar, there are more or less 3,000 bottles of wine. Okay. My cellar is air conditioned all over the hill in 18 degrees, more or less, when a range of humidity coming from 55 to 72% of humidity, and it's perfectly dark. Okay, I have an air conditioner that works also like humidor for who loves cigars. She knows what I mean, and it's perfect because the not always the bottles could be not necessarily put on in a horizontal way. When you have this kind of condition, you can also use the bottles stand up, because you have enough humidity for keep the cork, the sugar, the wood of the cork elastic enough and continue to breathe. Obviously, if you can permit you to have the bottle in a place in a horizontal way, it's better because the cork is always a little bit humid and it works. Please remember to round.
Pat in Tampa said,
Okay.
question as well.
Okay. Tell me, Dylan. Okay. Okay, this is always Tuscany. Coming on one of the most important new phenomenon that we have in Italy is the viticulture on Etna Valkyrien. You can see this is the Etna. Okay. This is the Etna, the Balkan. All the similar to sea, all this half moon is the growing area coming in the Etna. Probably from this zone, we have the most elegant wines that we have in Italy. It's very, very, the nose as the taste, very, very similar to the biggest Pinot Noir in Burgundy. Okay, please don't, it's not how to say, the comparison is very hard. And so, but they have a very important territory, very typical characteristic from the Etna, because you can see here in their diversity, because they are very typical in the diversity. This map is coming from the Geological Institute of Etna Balkan. Each color represents a different kind of soil, from the basalt to the limestone to clay and basalt with pyroclastics and some other stuffs, okay? But we have, you can see what is the growing area inside here and which are the different components of the soil here. And you have different profiles of wine in the same zone, coming from the north part here until the south part. And what it seems the warm part, so this one and this one, okay, seems that, okay, but is the warmer part, south is faced, so it should be the warmest, but it's the higher. We are some vineyards up to 1,000 meters on the sea level, okay? And it's typical, the big white wines from Etna growing there. It's really interesting.
So one more question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
One more question, and we'll have to wrap this up by 11:15. So from Pat in Tampa, how about Super Tuscan? It's a blend, but how does it rate? Do you know about Super Tuscan?
Yeah. So Super Tuscan is it's a magical history in the second that starts after the Second World War, a little bit to be more precise, in the 60s. The other producer from Chianti regions or surrounding Brunello zone that they was not able to produce Brunello, they decide to produce typical from only from Sangiovese, these wines that they call Super Tuscan. Okay, in the beginning they were just produced with only with Sangiovese, or with, in the blend was the mainly Sangiovese. But it was not permitted. They have not to allow that permits to do and put them this wine inside the quality pyramid. Okay, I have to back here. Okay. Okay, they was not able to place inside here in the highest part of the pyramid, because the quality levels that was designed for Chianti, for Brunello, was not able to, this wine was not able to be inserted in. And so they create okay, all the producer, they was be obliged to unclass the wines to EGT, okay, so less quality, but also sometimes vin de table is the base of the pyramid, okay, But however, was so high the quality of these wines, okay, there was continue to have a table wine that costs 100 euros per bottle. Like, let me say the 50 and 50, 50 e 50 from Avignonese and Capannelle. There was the joint venture of two great producers, one coming from one coming from Castellina and Chianti, and the other was coming from Montepulciano. Okay, the guys in Montepulciano produced Merlot, and the other one produced Sangiovese. So the blend of 50 and 50 was just the name of the wines for 50% Sangiovese, 50% Sangiovese, 50% Merlot. It was produced from these two big producers and blended together and sold on the market. Was a it's a Vino da Tavola wine table, but it costs probably 110, 120 euros per bottle. So it's
Brilliant.
not probably cheap.
Brilliant. Well, Max, è stato un piacere averti. Grazie mille. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we've really enjoyed all of your knowledge on this. Really, it was incredible. We even went over time.
That's fine.
Thank you so much for joining us. And my boss here, Susan Damiani, would like to say a few words.
Okay.
Sure.
Ciao, Max. Thank you so much. Really, you're so knowledgeable about the wines. It was very, very interesting discussion. We feel very honored that you came to be part of our Power Hour series, to our very distinguished roster of speakers. We're so glad that we can add you to our list. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan, for hosting me, pardon. And it was a pleasure to share some notes for us. Is a little bit of some notes, spending one time together. You can find here my email. So if you would like to send me something, or Dylan has.
Yes, Max, we'll send a follow-up email. And I thought your maps were fantastic. I don't know if you could share those with us. I see people shaking their heads. That I don't know if we're allowed, but if you could share your PowerPoint with us or some of the slides with us, we'd love to share that with our audience as well. And Annalisa, maybe we could convince Max to come to St. John's University and teach a class to your students. What do you think about that, Annalisa?
I will invite him to speak to my class anytime. Anytime.
So that's fine. It should not be difficult. Okay, thank you for the invitation. I will accept with great pleasure. So for the first time, I will come in the US without going for some NATO or some my job related stuffs, and so also for a little bit pleasure. And now I can stay in New York in the Big Apple, just not for passing on the airports. But if you need something, Annalisa, for finding the wine, some particular wines, there's a good community of Italian guys. But you probably you know.
What I try to do, because years ago I used to take my students abroad and to Italy all around. But usually, last time I went in the area of Perugia, Umbria, and I took them to the winery of Signe, il Sagrantino di Montefalco.
Okay.
So he showed them everything. He showed them the vineyards. He explained to them, and then we went to his the place where he was doing the wine, and it was very interesting because he was using the metal silos, for the
the tanks.
And then from there, then they had an area in which they still had the barrels, and then So I always was curious, if the new technology is helping the wines or not. This new technology.
Absolutely yes.
Okay.
Because when we're in the past, it was easier to manage climate, that we don't have to afford the climate changes. Okay. And so the fermentation are quite controlled by nature. Okay. Exactly. But now you have to control the temperature of fermentation about 22 degrees for red, a little bit less for whites. Right. And so
the highest technology is the best now.
And not highest, but you need, however, a good hand to check the technology. Technology by itself doesn't work.
I have to tell you the truth, because I know the Sagrantino, I bought some bottles there, DOCG, everything. And yet the one I like the most, even my friend who's also is into wines, was the Benozzo. You know,
Yeah, okay.
which is really not even APG. I mean, it's almost, but compare, and that was to us, it tasted better than the DOCG in the same.
But that for sure, because it's a taste that it's, let me say, a little bit easier, but it's because Sagrantino is a very harsh in wine.
Yes.
And
yes.
so full of tannin, and so you need
Right.
a lot of wine, a lot of time for being drunk at
Yes.
best.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Benozzo is a blend, if I don't remember right, it's a blend from Sangiovese and some other stuffs probably, other than Sagrantino, and is a little bit approachable since from the beginning of its life. Okay, so this is, for example, just for saying, I'm never opened a Barolo bottle before 10 years.
Right. I know.
Okay. I'm drinking 2004, 2006,
Right.
and maybe 2008.
Unfortunately, not too many people can afford that.
But if you would like to organize something, I can move some. I have several friends that have the important in the US.
You know what I can do? I want to try to bring not my students because, but maybe more mature people like Susan. We can do something.
Like my Globetrotter group.
Let's do it.
I see Jerry DePerge is like, I think she's clapping her hands saying, yes, let's go.
Yeah, because I can do the history.
She's one of my Globetrotters. She likes to come.
The history part, and then we can take them around.
Yeah, no, that would be beautiful.
The food, because I know some agriturismi, which are incredible.
Right.
The area of Tuscany and Umbria,
Yeah, also now I'm spending my holidays on the Adriatic Sea, and
nice.
in this area that is probably one of the best regions for white wines, named Marche.
Hey, that's where my family's from, Max.
I have to tell you that I tell my student that real wine is not white.
Oh, really? No, that's not true, right, Max?
I don't know.
San Benedetto del Tronto, is that where you're going? In La Marche?
Put it in the refrigerator, but the red wine is the wine. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I don't hear this. I'm not hear anything about this. Okay, but no, that's right. I'm joking. I'm joking, Annalisa. And the reason is because all of us, we cannot be, let me say, multi-purpose teacher in the Sommelier Association. Okay, every one of us has the specific, and one of my specific are just the German Rieslings. That's probably us.
Yes.
Are probably the most aging capable wines all over the world. I've tasted wines coming from probably the most ancient wine I ever tasted was 1811.
Wow.
Chocoberno, 1811 Chocoberno's laser Riesling.
Wow.
That's very.
I'm completely.
It's a great experience, but in Italy, I just agree with you because probably the quality of our reds are not comparable with wines.
Sorry, Max, where you reside in Rome, correct?
Yeah, I reside in Rome. Yeah, my base is in Rome, but I'm lucky because my work permits me to travel all over the world, to be honest, overall in the past. And so this is the reason why I'm a curious, as a person, I'm a curious one. And so everywhere I go, I have to find something to visit, something to know, something to explore.
And where in the Marche region are you staying?
Yeah, I'm close to the WWF Oasis in Numana. And I spending 3-4 days of holidays after a very hard period. Was more or less 1 year that I don't have any small holiday. But no wines at all, just for drinking.
Nice.
No visiting in the States, not all. I written for some guides, some wine guides for several years about this area. So I know all the Verdicchio area very well. And so, okay, that's fine. I would like to relax myself. And so just drinking.
You sound like you have a fun job, though. Your job sounds very fun.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
yeah, it's interesting. It was as I told you, it permits to me to travel extensively all over the world, to be honest, because I worked
Mhm.
for several multinational, and also now I'm working again for a multinational. And my job is a job that is not very easy to find in Italy. Okay, because my job was okay until 7, 8, 10 years probably. One of my duty was built-in IT security system, but my main job was to certificate life critical software. Okay, for example, I'm working with NATO just for certifying the old software that Cummins go to operate in theaters, or I worked with Airbus or Boeing for certification of the particular engine control systems. That's fine. This is my job. But in Italy, we don't have great industry about this. Italy was outside the Airbus consortium, and so I have to work in Toulouse several times. It was particular job, so this mine, but very, very challenging. And so, as I told you, give me the opportunity to travel so widely and so extensively. So
That's
it's
great.
and
Well,
so
again,
this
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much for your
okay.
time and your
So much.
expertise, sharing your
Absolutely.
talents with us. We really, really appreciate it. Very
Thank you so
nice.
much.
And
Hope
Susan is
to
right. Yeah? Susan is right. And don't forget, I tell my student that all the wines in France were put by the Romans there.
That's it.
true. Absolutely true.
Well, thanks, Annalisa, for being
Bye
part of our
bye.
program. We appreciate it. You
Okay.
always had some good
Waiting for
comments.
your news, and hope to meet you in person
Yes, we hope so.
in New
We'd love
York.
to have you at
Either in
St.
Italy
John's
with Globetrotters or you in
or
New York.
Globetrotters, right?
Yeah.
And thanks to
Okay.
all our audience. Thank you for coming on early this morning. We normally have it at 1 o'clock for our power hour. We have the next one is another very good one. It's financial and estate planning. We have wonderful expert panel. So if you're trying to get your estates in order, I would suggest definitely coming. It's the first time you can get free advice from an attorney and a financial advisor. And that's May 10th. So we look forward to seeing you there. So thank you. Ciao. Ciao from Roma and ciao from New York.
Okay. Ciao ragazzi. Bye
Ciao,
bye.
Max, grazie.
Arrivederci, grazie. Arrivederci.
Bye.
Grazie.
Bye bye.